Oh,
Jolly-o.
I don't know
Welcome
if that
back
works
to
or
the
not.
Always Right podcast.
I was trying to put the only thing in there I know about our topic today. Well, I know a little bit.
Jolly-o.
Yeah, is that even English? I might be wrong.
I guess so. Yeah, jolly old chap. Yes. So the opening line for today is, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of good fortune must be in want of a wife."
That sounds like the first opening line of a very popular book.
I mean, but it wasn't popular till later in life.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it's not Sense and Sensibility.
Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we chose a topic because it's coming back to theaters. I've seen the version that's coming to theaters and I enjoyed it. I'm excited for it to come back. But let's talk about it because you didn't read it.
No, yeah, I don't. I mean, I one day I tell you I did, one day I tell you I didn't. We read a lot of these books, like the Iliad and all this in
Or did you
school.
read you did read it, you think, maybe?
I can't remember. All I remember was my wife loves it, and she's made me watch the movie with what's
Keira
the young
Knightley?
lady's name from the pirate movies with Johnny
Keira
Depp?
Knightley.
Yeah, Keira Knightley.
That was in your
And
notes, by the way.
was it? Yeah. Well, I read it through there. I swear I did because I said Bridget Jones' Diary. Remember? So
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yes, we're gonna talk about Pride and Prejudice because it's come back into theaters, and it's so cool that that theaters do this where they kind of re-bring things back in, so you can see on the big screen if you didn't originally see it on the big screen, or maybe it's a movie that didn't come to a big screen and now it can be. I
so
know
which version is coming back? Like the one from the 40s?
the Keira Knightley. So the one
Okay.
from the 40s is the black and white one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, and then
sometimes
there was an
nostalgic,
animation.
they'll bring something back like that or Technicolor on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Which I would like to see the other versions,
I know what I
because
want to
some of them are
see.
a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see Pride and Prejudice and zombies.
I said this before we started this episode that I'm surprised you haven't watched that with the times you've mentioned it when we
I
talk about.
know, because I love zombie, and maybe I have. I swear to you, I'm not getting Alzheimer's. I'm not getting Alzheimer's.
But
I
you
think I
reference
watched
it
so much.
in public domain a lot. I assume you had watched that because I
Yeah,
was gonna pick
but
your brain about, like, what is that
you know
about?
what it is? Like my break from reality is binge watching stuff on Netflix, but I have such a bad memory. Like I went back and watched Walking Dead, and got through where Carl dies. I'm done. And then about 3 or 4 months ago, I was like, maybe. So before I go to bed, I watch an episode a night, and I've been through the whole series now. I'm up to Dead City and all that, but I could go back and start on the first episode, be like, oh, I forgot all about that. It's just I can't. I'll remember. Like, wait a minute, did I watch that?
Are you
So
like my husband and like you just literally you can take something in and then somehow you can put it into a trash can in your brain and then just delete it?
I think so because a lot of times when I watch a series, Wheel of Time, I'm back into it in the third season, and I was like, I probably really need to jump into season 1 and 2 because I don't remember. I watch it and I get it out of there. So
But could I
yes,
ask you honestly, when you're watching something, are you actually watching it or are you on your phone?
no, I'm actually watching it.
Oh, well, okay,
Yeah,
impressive.
like at night, I'll put my phone into do not disturb,
Hmm.
and I still hear the beeps because there's several people that's allowed to come through and beep, 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 and I just ignore it and cover it with a pillow and keep watching.
Which is so weird you said that because my do not disturb just said it turned itself off, which why would it turn it? Who told you could do that?
They're listening.
Yeah, I don't know who they are, but they need to not disturb me. Anyways,
All right.
so
So
this was written literally 200 years before I graduated. I
wow.
graduated in 1996. So this was written like 1796, 1797 time frame. Even though it didn't essentially get published until as Pride and Prejudice until like 1813. But it's like this is very old, but still very classic, and obviously still very relevant because they're bringing it back to theaters because of the stuff that goes on in this.
Yeah, and it kind of breaks my heart though because it comes back to where we talk about these amazing female authors and how they were treated. Because her first book, Sense and Sensibility, did really well, but I don't believe she used her name. She always
She
used
was never recognized until after years later, after she had died. Like really until the 20th century did she really become like that staple of literature.
Yeah, and even with this book, I think pounds that she sold up for like 150 pounds or something, which I'm sure was a lot of
Yeah, I think it
money.
was like 110 pounds she sold, which was quite a bit of money back then.
Yeah,
But the challenge is, one, she wasn't recognized,
yeah,
and two, it made substantial amount of money in comparison to what they gave her for the rights. So
yes.
like she may have got 110 pounds or whatever it was at the time. They made at least triple that. It didn't take a royalty. And it was very odd for a woman to be known as an author back then. We've talked about that, how it was very taboo. I mean, there were female authors, obviously, but to get as far as like popular and famous and be looked at as like a literature icon was not a well received thing.
And I'm sure that's why she sold it, thinking,
And we say she, who's she?
Jane Austen.
Yes, yes. This novel was originally titled First Impressions. And like I said, it was way over 200 years ago. But something that we don't realize is she's got like a lot of pieces. And a lot of her stuff, like I said, she was never known for until after the fact that she had passed away. But she was also writing about things that were very taboo. We read it today or we see it today and we're like, so someone eloped, or, oh, someone didn't
Yeah,
want to
but that
marry
was
who they were
200 years ago. Yeah, for sure.
right. She was skirting on a very satirical like taboo. So it's cool that she took that and just went with it. But all right, we're here to talk about Pride and Prejudice. We're not actually talking about Jane Austen. Um, because this is not an episode of Echoes of Authors Past. This is an episode about Pride and Prejudice because it's coming back to theaters, and we wanted to talk about the literature that kind of brought this to pass. Let's talk about the characters.
Elizabeth Bennet.
Elizabeth Bennet, which I again haven't watched the other ones, but I do want to watch the British version. That is the mini series because apparently it's a lot more closer to the book with a little bit of freedom. But I would like to see that one and the black and white version because I don't know, it'd be interesting to see just the time period in which they were released, how it was put on the screen. Because we know that she's, again, taboos, but did the time of the 1940s when the black and white one came out, did they leave things out because that wasn't acceptable then? So interesting. And it's not a very big book, by the way. I swear I thought we had it here. And I went through all of our bookshelves and I couldn't find it. I think it's one of those ones we wanted to buy but just never bought it.
So let's explain something here. She was looking for it because she would have done a hard, quick read of it. And there's probably 3 copies out in Diane's library, and I avoided all of them.
You're funny. Need to get Diane on here. She would probably be a host.
Yeah, she would replace me. She's like,
Yeah, be like, Diane,
stay
let's talk
home.
books. Because Jamie's just not reading it for me.
She's a reading freak. Like, I don't even know, last year she's like, I've read 350 books this year or something ridiculous.
Well, she was trying to read a bunch of books this past year. Did she hit her mark?
I'm pretty sure she did. I don't know. It's like work, home, asking me questions about the publishing company, laying down and reading.
Sounds like y'all need to take a break from your other lives to spend more time finding out about each other.
Or like coming down to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh,
trying.
aren't you going to Florida? But not to
Me?
me? Yeah. Aren't you and Diane going somewhere?
No, no, no. I don't even remember that conversation.
I thought you guys were taking a vacation somewhere.
She wants to go to Paris.
Oh, yes. See that I knew you
And
were
I
going
would
to see
love to do that. But
Mhm.
it's like, okay, let's hire a nanny to watch the animals. Let's get out of here.
Nanny.
Yep. And a
Pet
nanny.
nanny.
And a
Anybody
nanny.
know any pet nannies out there?
Yeah. Just asking.
All right, back to where we were. Elizabeth Bennet. This is the protagonist. Elizabeth Bennet is she's a very beloved character, known for her wit, her intelligence, and her
Very
independence.
independent. Yeah.
Very independent. And the independence comes from the time frame when it's like your mother, your father wanted to set you up with someone wealthy to make sure your child is taken care of. Like that was a time frame when there were a lot of exchanges of financial stuff to essentially buy the wife, you know, before mail order,
Yep. And
like a
we still have that
dowry thing.
today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very normal in that time frame for the mom to set up the daughters with wealthy to do men. And it was also perceived that if a man had money, then the next thing he wants is a wife.
Hmm.
That's by the opening statement. But this is where the crossroads meet because Mr. Darcy, Fitzwilliam
Yeah.
Darcy, yeah, the male lead, he's initially perceived as this proud, he's kind of an aloof, who becomes this romantic hero that in this story that unfolds. You know, he's not interested in a wife. He sees society and how it plays out, and he's just not interested. And I feel when uh, Miss Bennet and Mr. Darcy they both are kind of like both very stubborn, and it's like you see them both being so stubborn because the one doesn't want what both of them don't want what society expect from them, but in turn fall right to where society put them. But they did it on their own terms,
Yep.
essentially. Yeah, it was like that stubbornness that brought them together.
And this is where, like, you talk about some of the controversial things, like eloping comes into play. And
Hmm.
I'm sure, I kind of wonder if she would have released as hers one, if it would have been as popular when, when she first released it, and if people would be like, how dare she? Because I'm sure they used a male name, pen name, and they're probably like, oh, it's okay, a male wrote that.
Well, so I can't no, I don't remember where I read this. I think I have the link in here somewhere that they put it as whoever they, and I didn't find this, whoever they had listed as the sensibility one, that they said the author of this. That's how they pushed it. The author of this. So it was kind of like almost like a roundabout whatever. But I would have to look up the pen name. I didn't even think to look that up. What the
Hmm.
name was that they gave for the author.
It don't matter. The only one I care about is Jane Austen. She deserved the credit
She
from day
deserved the
one.
credit. Yeah, but she didn't get any kind of acknowledgement until she had passed. So
Yeah.
probably haunting some like old building now. Like, give me my credit.
Yeah. I'm going to make this film fail.
Yeah. Well, no, she'd want it to be popular because it puts her name out. Yeah, whatever. So the social commentary. The social commentary of this book, this novel, it's kind of critiquing some of the societal norms, like we talked about, that was typical for a man to get married, because now that he's made his wealth, now he needs a wife and settle down, make a family, and also, like I said, the
The families were trying to marry them off.
well, yeah, it was very normal. Like the people who watch Bridgerton, with the next daughter in line to get married. There's this whole status quo, and this kind of like again push the pressure on that status quo of the societal situations that apparently Jane Austen thought to be kind of like satirical. She thought these were funny, like, why are we doing this is crazy, to assume that just because a man has money he wants to be married, and to assume that because she's of age she wants to be married. It
Absolutely.
was kind of, yeah.
But I'm sure that's how every family was in that time period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm so glad I don't live in that. I love the period of clothing. I like the Renaissance and the 1700s of that old English, but I don't like the politics, and I don't like the expectations of society for a female. So
And I'm sure that's why it was kind of satirical. I know that she wrote it, and I'm sure how some of her friends were like this, and she's like, okay, let me base it on what I'm experiencing, but let me mock it because I don't believe in
yeah.
this.
Well, and she did base it a lot loosely on her own obvious experience, because I think it's known that the sister in the book is a lot like her own sister in life. So there's a lot of, overlap there. Um, we talked about briefly some adaptations,
Adaptogens. Well, that's not it.
adaptations, appendages, but adaptations.
Well, like I said, the one that shocked me is when he said, and I've seen Bridget Jones' Diary, and it's been a while. I guess I would like Pride and Prejudice because I like that. I didn't realize it was
Mhm.
based on Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, Jamie comes into the podcast lab this morning like, yeah, I don't even like this one. I'm like, excuse me?
Well, I like zombies, so I don't know if I
Yes, we didn't
mentioned
watch
this
that one
yet,
too.
but they make Pride and Prejudice and zombies. I don't think
Mhm.
I mentioned that yet, but just so
But
you know,
yes,
Pride and
yeah,
Prejudice and
you have.
zombies.
Which
Okay.
every time you say Pride and Prejudice zombies, I think of Rob Zombie.
Do you?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, how everything kind of like builds like, oh, I was thinking of this and then it took me to this. And now how did I get here?
So now I can be Proud and Prejudice. I got to do it like that, like a Rob Zombie thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my glass shattering sound. No.
Yeah. Pride and Prejudice and the overlap of Bridget Jones' Diary is not that it's a direct adaptation, but the author of Bridget Jones, oh my gosh, it's like a mouth.
Bridget Jones' Diary.
Yep, Bridget Jones' Diary, which I watched this. The author drew from Pride and Prejudice and gave it a more modern spin. It's not a direct like cross thing, but I mean there are a lot of parallels. Let's go over some of those just so we can kind of
Okay.
again pay homage to Jane Austen. Um, because Helen Fielding, she did the 2001 film adaptation, in a sense that of Bridget Jones' Diary, which like I said, I like this one, but it's inspired by Pride and Prejudice. So some of the parallels. I mean, hello, the character by Colin Firth, Mark Darcy. I mean, that's pretty direct.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so he's like that aloof, he's that kind of stubborn, he's prideful, he's all these things that kind of reveal his true nature down the road.
Yeah, Daniel Cleaver, Hugh Grant, of course. It's a perfect actor for him. George Wickham, I can't even read, but I'm assuming he's like the one that was untrustworthy. He was always causing trouble in the book, and always I can't even talk today. He was always messing with the original, the female character. I can't remember her name, Elizabeth. So
Elizabeth
in the
Bennet.
book, yeah. So in this, he's causing trouble in Bridget Jones' life.
Yeah. Well, real quickly, something about Mark Darcy that's played by Colin Firth. Colin Firth is connected to the 90 or the was it the other version, the British version.
In the 40s or the
No,
TV
no, no, no.
series?
Gosh, no, he'd be so old.
Well, I thought you meant like his grandpa.
Oh no, no, no. Colin Firth. He played Mr. Darcy in the British version.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. Anyways, Bridget Jones, Renee
Yep.
Zellweger, Renee Zellweger. I like her. I like her as certain types of characters. She was in Jerry Maguire, right?
Yes, and I liked her in the movie with hey, I can't remember. It's Jim Carrey. Your
Oh my
husband
god,
will know which movie that is.
probably. What was
It
that? I
was a
don't even
movie
know.
where he had multiple personalities, and Renee was his girlfriend.
Oh, was it one of the things that he dressed up as like a park ranger or something like that? Or
Yes.
okay, okay, yeah. I don't know the name of that movie, but I know which one you're talking about. But in Bridget Jones' Diary, she plays that witty, flawed, but like kind of like she's searching for something. She doesn't want to find love in a sense, but then she is actually looking for love, but just a different direction.
So very similar to Elizabeth Bennet, except
Yes, Elizabeth Bennet. I'm just kidding. The plots for Bridget Jones, the love triangle, the one that she's going to be with, the one she, supposed to, like all these different little things going on. There's that's an overlap from Pride and Prejudice. Um, Mr. Darcy in Bridget Jones, in his disdain for Bridget in the beginning, because Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice, he's kind of like he does
very
everything to
aloof.
avoid her,
Yeah,
everything to just avoid her. Like I don't. That's not where I want to be. I'm not even like this woman's just crazy. But yeah, it's a definite echo of the two parallels there. The themes both explore this love, self-discovery, importance of seeing beyond first impressions. And I don't know about you, people always talk about first impressions are everything, but I always think second impressions are everything. Because the first impression, everybody has the opportunity to have one, a bad day, or two, fake it. You know what I mean? When you come to me and I first meet you, you might be having a bad day and I might have a weird energy with you or whatever. I'm going to give you a second chance. In that second chance, if your emotions overlap again, I'm like, okay, this is truly who you are, And so I feel like these are good stories to kind of don't cancel someone out just based on first impressions.
agreed. Now let's talk about the differences because obviously one was 200 years ago, and
Right?
Bridget Jones was, I'm assuming that was in the 90s.
Yeah, that's in the
So
90s.
more modern dating, struggles, friendships.
Yeah.
Her mother's not
Both
trying to
set in
push.
London, though.
It was. See, I don't remember because it's been too long since I've seen it.
Mhm. Yep.
So there's a
Um,
similarity.
yeah. What is it?
There's a similarity. There's a difference.
Yeah. Well, and because this is modern, it's going to be a little bit more comedic. It's going to be a little bit more, I guess, modern realization of what you can and can't do as a female versus what you could and couldn't do back then. So the things we would have thought to be completely taboo in Pride and Prejudice, not so much taboo in modern day. Um, modernization. I'm kidding.
Tone,
Yeah.
like you said, it's more self-depre. I can't even read, deprecating. But I do remember it was a funny movie. I would have considered it kind of a loose comedy. Of course,
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah.
Yeah. But with a modern romance, which, um, oh yeah, see, I did put this on here. Interesting. Colin Firth played Mr. Darcy in the 1995 BBC adaptation. Yes.
That
So
is
he was in
nuts.
he was Mr. Darcy in Bridget Jones, and he was Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice. So
But I wonder how many. I mean, I wonder when they came out if they said, "Hey, this is exactly what it is," or people's like, "Wait a minute."
what do you mean?
Did they know that it was a loose adaptation off of Pride and Prejudice, or you know?
Yeah, I don't know if the author outrightly said that ever, but I mean, it's pretty clear when the name of the character is Mr. Darcy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then, I mean, and this is another thing. Not jumping back to other episodes where we've talked about, you know, why am I drawing a blank? When you can rewrite a book when it's
Mhm.
past its what
You're
is
talking
it?
about public domain.
Public domain. I'm telling you. Alzheimer's. But there's so many books. Why not move on? Why haven't people done other books? I'm just planting the seed in case any of you authors really love a book and like, ooh, I got an idea and it's in public domain. Let me rewrite it.
Yeah, if you go back to the episode that we put out January 1st, you'll see all the ones that are available right now, and
Yep.
which there are all of what is it that everything from the 1920s is now available.
Was it 1920? And then there's different things with the audio and some of the characters, like some of the early Mickey Mouse characters and stuff. So I'd have to go back and check because I know you had different dates from the
Yes,
20s.
but so like it's because it's not 100 years, but so everything that was 1929 and earlier is available.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I remember. I remember these things. I remember these things. Oh yeah, so we already said this that it was 110 pounds, which was a modest sum.
Yeah,
But she,
because he made that publisher made maybe 410, 450 pounds
yeah,
off of it. It was like, yeah.
yeah, it was insane. Okay, so something that I like about which like I said, I've not watched the other versions. So the version that is coming back to theaters doesn't get all the details from the book, but it does create a beautiful landscape
Yeah.
of yeah,
But
it does.
what movie does? I mean, like you said, now if now that I know we'll end up going to the movie and rewatching this, and then I might be like, I have to watch because if I end up reading this, I'm going to have to go back and find the television series
Mhm.
because when you read a book and then you watch it in the movies, like, wait a minute, that's not how it went. Like Harry Potter, for example, Neville was like there were four best friends; they were always together. And in
Yeah,
the
you
movie,
said
they kind of separated and just made it three. So you always find those little discrepancies.
that. Yes, yes. Hold on. I'm in my notes here.
I'm in your notes too. I just can't read because I don't want to put on my dork glasses.
Yeah, Mr. Collins. So this is the character that you're talking about. He's like that pompous clergyman. He's one of the more humorous people in the book, where a lot of her satirical creations are like kind of come from. Uh, Miss Bennet's obsession. Uh, this is Elizabeth's mom. She's obsessed with marrying her daughters off. It's almost like comical and like a reflection of society and its pressures to get your daughters out the door at a certain time. Because I know in Bridgerton, there's that whole like you've missed your mark essentially. You've missed your time. There's one of the character she's like, "Why if I haven't got married off in this season, and not season of episodes like on TV, in this season of when she's supposed to be married. If I haven't got married by this point in my life, I think it's like 19 or something.
Well, you're going to smack me because I'm trying to remember. So, Elizabeth, was she supposed to marry George Wickham originally, right?
I think that's who her mom was trying
Wanting to
to.
get her to do, and then he
Yeah, her
eloped
mom.
with her
But then her
sister.
sister Lydia ends up running off and getting eloped to him. So it's almost like a strange love triangle.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
slowly coming back.
Yeah, the mom sees like, oh, you should be with this one. I went because they're the, like it's almost like that intersection, but secretly the sister and him love each other, so
Yeah.
they yeah. And then it's almost like, because if you imagine, it's like your family's got this planned out. Okay, so we'll marry the first daughter to this one, the second
Yeah.
daughter to this one. You got it all planned out and mapped. Everybody's on agreement except for the actual kids. And secretly behind the scenes, while you're planning this and you're thinking that your oldest daughter and Mr. Wickham are getting together, your youngest daughter's having a fling with him. And then you find out because they go and elope, and it's like this whole like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, so it all worked out.
Could you imagine if your mom fixed you up with someone and made you marry someone?
Oh, yeah.
Who would your mom have forced you to marry before you met Diane?
Probably, I shall name no names, but this young girl who was, I'm still friends with her, but pretty crazy, pretty psychotic. So, but my mom loved her. She's like, oh, she's so fun. I'm like, yes, but, yeah, it was a good thing. Young love,
Sorry,
Now,
I'm
I
talking
know,
about myself.
I gotta
Huh?
say, I know who Diane's father would have had her married because he
Not
was
you.
older. Yeah, he said to me one day he was in almost 90. His mom was like his wife was 20 years younger, and I remember being in there before he passed away. He says, Jamie, and we weren't married. He said, just looked me in the eye. He says, I just want to see my daughter married before I die. And so, I mean, that wasn't like the thing that pushed me, but I knew that he's like, yeah, I really wish you guys would get married because we've been together 6 or 7 years. Like, yeah, it's
Wow,
time
it
for
took
me to
you
grow.
that long
I have a 7 year rule.
before you marry someone?
Yeah, that's what I told her. At that point, she's like, sure, whatever.
Wow.
All right,
At
I
this
guess.
point, is it 7 years before you actually show proof that she exists?
Well, yes, yeah. Actually, even my other team, Dr. Vox, like, are you ever going to bring her up and let's meet us if we ever get rid of these animals? Yesterday
Mm.
was our anniversary, by the way.
Oh yeah.
99, 09, 19, 20, like 26 years.
Wow.
Yep.
26 plus 7?
Yes. Crazy.
Yeah, so like what, 33
I can't
years?
count that high. 33 years.
That's crazy.
No, that don't make sense. 91, it's 34 years.
So you waited 8 years?
Yeah, maybe that was it. I can't remember. It's above
Wow.
my brain.
Above your pay grade?
Yeah, we were together. I got engaged 7 years. We got married on our 8th year. So we got married on the day we met. See, now the math is adding up.
Did
Engaged.
you do that so you could remember how many years you've been together exactly?
Yeah, and I still can't.
It seems like
And
it
it's
did
been
not
since
work out so
91.
well.
91, we got married in 99. So that adds up now. All right.
So let's talk big screen. All
All
right.
right.
So
Let's talk about why Carissa makes me notes because I can't remember my marriage. All right.
I should make you a note for that.
Yes. Don't forget it's your anniversary.
Hmm. Should put that on my calendar for Videra. Your
You're
anniversary
right.
tomorrow. All right. So the first film, Pride and Prejudice, was released in 1940. This starred Greer Garson as Elizabeth Bennet and Laurence Olivier. I like that name, Laurence Olivier, because every time
Olivier.
I hear that, I think, oh, it's so
Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy was Laurence Olivier. It was directed by Robert Z. Leonard and produced by Metro Goldwyn Mayer, which is MGM for those who don't know what that is. Yes. Do they still have the lion?
No, I don't think so.
That was like animal cruelty or something.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Yeah. So while the film took some liberties with the original story, it became the classic in its own right and helped introduce Jane Austen's work to a wider audience because not everybody I mean, a lot of people couldn't read. I mean, you got to realize, even like biblical stuff, people relied on someone else to tell them what it was saying or show them what it was saying. A lot of things were reenacted. People were doing things in plays, like with Shakespeare and stuff like that, because they couldn't read things. So a lot of times it was just visual. So this definitely opened the eyes of people to this piece of literature. And there have
Yep.
been like many adaptations to this. And we've talked about the one in 1995, which is the BBC miniseries with Colin Firth and Jennifer. How do you say her last name? Hill,
I have to read it.
Hele.
Ellie, maybe L or Ellie.
Ellie, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but
And
this is
then
more accurate,
yeah,
correct?
yeah,
And they
and then
didn't
also
change time period. Like one was the black and white was like Victorian era instead of the Regency, so they kept it more in line with the book.
yeah, 2005 with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden.
And that's the one that's coming back to the theaters. I wonder what prompted this.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what that means. Well, I think it's like 20. Does that make it 20 years? When was that? 2005. Yeah, it's the 20-year
Oh,
anniversary.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, I'm not going to go through all these tones and stuff like that, but like you said, let me move this over here. Like the faithfulness to the storyline. That's why I want to watch this one, the BBC one, is because supposedly it's considered to be the most accurate adaptation, the BBC miniseries, which
Yeah,
I personally love a good BBC miniseries on Netflix when they have the limited series. I love a British miniseries.
see if they have this on Prime and I can buy it. I'll be like, hey, baby, here's a late anniversary present because she would watch this. I forgot about this one.
Which one? The BBC
No,
one?
no, I forgot about getting her that present. I forgot it. I got it yesterday.
Hopefully she doesn't watch this episode. Like, oh, now the truth comes out.
Yeah. Well, she'll be over it by then. She won't be too mad.
Yeah. So this is like, even though the book's not huge, this is a 6-episode series, and it kind of gives a bigger space to kind of create the dynamics of the love story versus the movie from 2005 that has a smaller. And the 2005 movie, I feel like there's not as much commentary as far as dialogue. I mean, there's dialogue, obviously, but there's a lot of landscape. There's a lot of countryside. There's a lot of like scenery, more to kind of bring you in visually versus conversational.
I hope, and I'm sure I'll be going to the movies to watch this because she wanted to do it, but I hope they do a director's cut where it's more like 3 hours long. And I know it's not,
Hmm.
a direct to book adaptation, but at least it'll give you a little more room.
Yeah. So something that I was trying to compare between the 2005 or 2005 one was that the film emphasizes passion and vulnerability of the characters, making it more accessible to modern audiences, which makes sense because again, we're dealing with Jane Austen's time frame when certain sensibilities were taboo. So she had to tread a little lighter, but for us, the things that we could connect with more, they were able to have a little bit of freedom with that.
Yeah, and if I were to compare that with like the 2016 version, the 2016 version has zombies. In case you didn't know that, I wanted to plant that because I want everyone to watch it with me.
Right, right. I should probably write that down.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you got an adaptation on here. So funny because you're talking about, marrying people off, and I work a lot in Bollywood and know quite a few people. I'm like, hey, is it true? Do you get set up and paired off for marriage? And yeah, it still exists, but they're a little more loose now. So they're
Hmm.
not forcing you to do it, but there's a lot of families that still have that tradition and want to force you into a marriage.
Well, yeah, and so their caste system was created. The word caste system was created by the English when the English came in and kind of took over the territory. But it's not as prejudiced anymore. I feel like when
No,
I've read a
no.
bunch of stuff that they've kind of tried to modernize some of the views on that.
Yep. But they did an adaptation in 2004 called Bride and Prejudice, is why I mentioned it, because that's a Bollywood style musical adaptation set in the modern day India. And I'm like, yep, I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, and I wonder, so that'd be an interesting one to watch because, like, did they adapt that to fit their situation where, because
I
obviously,
would say,
yeah,
I'll ask some of my friends, like, hey, give me a link. I want to see this.
yes. So, anyways, I feel like it's cool that we kind of cover Pride and Prejudice because of the links that authors go to put themselves out there in a time when it's taboo, and we don't think about it because we take it for granted what she was doing by putting herself out there writing these stories. She obviously was a pretty intelligent woman, um, but like when societal norms tell you not to do something, go ahead and do it.
Exactly.
Because
Especially in
obviously
today's day and age. We won't go there.
no comment, no comment. Yes. So one thing I did, I'm going to put in the show notes. I have 2 links there that you can go to and see more about the Pride and Prejudice storyline, some of the adaptations, a little bit more information about them. You can also go in there and see things that maybe you didn't know, some fun facts about Jane Austen, fun facts about Pride and Prejudice, and just before you go watch the movie and understand its cultural significance to
Yeah,
literature.
absolutely. Please go to those links. If you're going to go watch the movie, just so you're like, okay.
Find out
Read the
why
book.
this find out why
Don't,
this is such a cool story anyway. Jamie.
yeah, DBJ. Don't be Jamie. Read the
Don't
book.
be Jamie. Yes, come into this podcast being like, I don't even like this one.
What would Jamie do? He wouldn't read the book, so do the opposite.
Anyways, all right. So, if you would like to connect with us on any of our social media, like Facebook and Instagram, you could go to alwaysrightpodcast.com. You can click on those little social media icons. You can also click on the other icons that take us to our listening platforms like Spotify, YouTube, which Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. So we have multiples. So you'll see some, if you're wanting to listen to us, you can go on YouTube and just click the listen button. And there's one, it just has the Always Right logo on there. If you want to watch us, there's also the video where you can watch us. It's like 2 versions.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people will do that, and even they may be driving in their car, and if they're doing it on their iPhone, they have it up. If they had the video on, it
Be
could
distracting.
disturb them when they're driving. So I
Yeah,
think
so
it's
there's 2
excellent.
versions on there. You can listen or you can watch on YouTube. Same with like Spotify. You can watch on Spotify as well. But anyways, if you have something you'd like to send to us, if you have a nice show idea, or if you're an author and you want to come on and tell us about your books, or if you got something coming out, if you're into writing something else other than books, like if you're a songwriter, or if you write something that's interesting that you may not know, that you think the public might be interested in knowing how that works, send us an email. alwayswritepodcast@gmail.com, and we will get back to you and see if you can come on the show and teach us about the ways that you write.
Absolutely.
All
And in the
right.
meantime,
Yes.
always right. I am author Jamie Vendera.
And I'm author Carissa DeLay. Till
And
then,
repeat it.
always
Always
right.
right.